Welcome, Algebra. We are starting Chapter 4. This is one of our favorite chapters. So we're going to be working on graphing linear equations with tables, and then we're going to progress from there as we go on through the chapter. So let's get started. We're going to talk about some situations. And since it's fall, we thought we would have a situation with some leaves. So, in this situation, you borrow $9 from your mom and you spend that at the concession stand at the football game. You want to pay her back. So, you rake leaves for your neighbors and you charge $3 per yard so that you can get some income together. Okay? So, the equation for this situation is y equals 3 times x minus 9, okay? We want to graph this equation. So to do that, we are going to make a table. Here's what I mean. We're going to make a table of values where we define what our values are. So we're going to take our x value, which happens to be the number of yards that we do. And during this chapter, we're going to use the same amount of x, or the same x values for each of our tables so that it's consistent. It shows a long enough graph that we can see the situation. And so all of our graphs match. And just to make it easier, so that we don't have to think about it. So when we look at this situation, y equals 3x minus 9, we are going to use a graph to do that. I just want to make my column just a little bit bigger for there. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to define what our x's are, and we're always going to use the same ones. And we're always going to put them in the order that I just put them. We're going to do -1, we're going to do 0, we're going to do 1, and we're going to do 2. And we're going to talk a little bit about what this means and things like that. But as we are doing this, I need you to think about what you're doing. Don't just mindlessly do this. So we have defined these x values. They're going to be the same for each of our problems. Where did I get them? They're numbers I picked for you to use. Don't even worry about that. It doesn't matter where I got them. It's just the ones I picked. So please use these numbers. So if x is equal to -1 and I've got this equation, we know how to do this substitution, right? I'm going to plug my -1 in where my x is, and now I'm going to do the math. When you're making your table, that's what I would like you to do. Each time, I'd like you to make sure that you enter your table by putting the math in here, and then you're going to chug out an answer for y. Okay? So 3 times -1 gives you -3 minus 9. You're just bringing that down. -3 plus -9, -3 plus -9 gives me -12. Okay? We're going to talk a little bit about what that situation means in a moment. Okay? Now, I want you to do 0, 1, and 2. We'll do together. But we're always going to do 0, 1, and 2. I just want to move them down a little bit so they fit. Okay? So 0. I'm going to take my equation. Where did I get that equation? Right here. Y equals, my 3 is defined. Put a parentheses. Put my 0 in. Put my -9. All I did was take my given equation and I put this x value in. Okay? 3 times 0 is, you're right, 0. 0 minus 9 is? 0 minus 9 is definitely -9. Great. Next one. Y equals 3 I've got my 1 minus 9, so I just plug it in and now chug out an answer. 3 times 1 is 3 minus 9. 3 minus 9 is -6. And do the same thing for 2. You do that one. Pause the video. Tell me what you get. You should have got -3, did you? I hope so. So now, what do I do with this information? I can now go to my graph and I can make a graph. Because I have a set of ordered pairs here. -1, when my x value is -1, my y value is -12. When my x value is 0, my y value is -9. When my x value is 1, my y value is -6. And when my x value is 2, my y value is -3. So what does that help us with? That helps us be able to graph, okay? So at -1, I go over to -1, and I'm going to go down 12. So there's 10 here. So I'm going to have to extend this a little bit. That wasn't what I wanted to do. And you can't see all of it. Okay, I'm going to have to extend this a little bit. I need to get my pen back, sorry. So 1, 2, 3. All right. At -1, I'm going to go over to -1, and then I'm going to go down to 12, which would be right here. And I'm going to put a dot. Because when x is -1, y is -12. When x is 0, y is at -9. So go over 0 and down to 9. Put a dot. Go over to 1 and go down to -6. So over 1, down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right there. Okay? Go over to 2 and down 3. So that right there. Okay? So now, as I am doing this, I am all set. Okay? I've got my dots. Now, I need to connect those dots. All right. I connected my dots with a line. I used the pen to do so that it would look better and be all set. So, looks good, right? I took my line and I put it through the center of all my dots, and I'm good. So let's evaluate what some of this means. So, as I'm looking at this, I need to evaluate and look at what that -1 means. So in this case, in this specific case, it stands for a week ago. So a week ago, you know, maybe I owed mom more money, or I made less money, whatever, if you're thinking about it. You've made no money. You've done 0 yards. Okay, so this is 1 week ago, and it doesn't matter as to what's going on. Okay, so now, what is the x-intercept? So an x-intercept is a new concept that we're going to learn this chapter. And it tells us a lot about what's going on in our problem. And we need to think about what's going on so that we can evaluate what's happening. So my x-intercept is an ordered pair where the lines cross the x-axis. Okay? So an ordered pair where the line that I just drew crosses the x-axis. Our x-axis is our horizontal axis. Okay? So here's my x-axis. What does my x-axis stand for? My x-axis, in this case, stands for number of yards that I've done. Okay? My y-axis stands for how much money I've made. All right. So here, right here, where the line crosses my x-axis, that number is at 1, 2, 3, comma 0. So this here is 3, comma 0. It's my x-intercept. All right, so what does my x-intercept tell me? It tells me that I've raked 3 yards, and since I've raked 3 yards, I now owe 0 money. So my x-intercept tells me when I've paid off amount. All right, so what about the y-intercept? The y-intercept is the ordered pair that crosses the y-axis, and the y-axis is our up and down axis. So here is my y-axis. Okay, my y-axis in this case is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. -9 is my y value, and 0 is my x value. Okay, so 0, -9. So what does that mean? 0, -9 means that when I have done 0 yards, I owe $9, right? Because it's a -9. So at the time that I had done 0 yards, I owed $9, and we knew that, okay? Question in letter D is, how many yards would I have to do to have $12 to put into my lunch account? So money is what value? X or Y? This is my Y. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take and we're going to set our equation that we were given in the beginning, and we're going to set it equal to 12 because I have $12. Okay? 12 equals 3x minus 9. So I want to find out how many yards I have to do. So I am looking for x. X is a question mark. So I can take this equation, I can solve it for x, and that will give me how many yards I need to do. What do I have to get rid of first? I would like you to pause the video and solve the equation, and then come back. Okay, you should have got, after we finish this, you should have got x equals 7 yards. You have to rake 7 yards for you to have enough money to put $12 in your lunch account. Okay? So these equations that we're going to be doing and these graphs that we're going to be doing are helpful. Now, would we be able to read that off the graph? Sure. If we went to the graph and we went up to 12, which would be about right here, okay, I could count over, and where would I be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this dot right here, my x value is 7, my y value is 12. And that means that I'd have to do 7 yards to make $12. And I could have estimated that using the line. Okay, let's look at another example. Our next example involves my friend the meerkat. So, greetings from the Kalahari Desert in South Africa. We are going to learn about the Kalahari's most playful residents, the meerkats. Meerkats are born 3 inches long, and they grow 1 inch for every 2 months. 1 inch for every 2 months. Graph the height of a meerkat, or the length of the meerkat, and determine the full-grown measurement of a meerkat. Okay? So, we're going to create a table. Again, we're going to use those same numbers for our x, and we're going to calculate what our y is. So the X in this case stands for the number of months that he's growing, or she, and the Y value stands for the number of inches. And so when we label our graph, we want to make sure that we label it in context. Notice it says height in inches here. Notice it said time in months here. So as we're looking at this, we are going to make this graph. Again, I'm going to define my -1, my 0, my 1, and my 2, and then I'm going to use my graph. Okay. Here we go. I've got y equals 1/2 -1 plus 3. What's not 1/2 times -1? -1/2. -1/2 plus 3 would be 2.5. Probably want to use a calculator for that if you're not really good at adding with decimals or fractions. All right, do the rest. Y equals 1/2, substitute your 0, plus 3. I forgot my 1 in here. Okay, I would like you to pause the video and then come back and check your answers. So finish this table. Okay, this is what you should have got. You should have got when x is 1, y is 3.5. When x is 2, y is 4. Okay, so then we want to graph those points. So -1 isn't on here, so we don't really need to graph that one. It would be 2.5. So start at 0. 0, it's 3. Okay, and then 1, it's 3.5. So you're going to have to estimate in between here. 2, it's 4, and you would go up accordingly. Okay, so what does that look like? Here's your graph. I did it in before, and draw a line, and that's what your graph would look like. So what does this graph mean? Well, let's look at this. So this x equals -1 is, what does that mean? So we're on letter A. That negative value means that the meerkat's not born yet. Okay, it can't be growing. 0 is when the meerkat is born. So this is when they're born. And we can go from there. Okay, so let's look at that. So what does it mean to have x equals negative values? 1 month before they're born, because that's our x values in months. My x, what is my x-intercept? Remember that is when y equals 0. Okay, so I'm going to take and I'm going to put 0 in for my y, and then I'm going to calculate that. So I need to solve this for x. I need to get these numbers away from the x. So I subtract 3 on both sides, or add a -3. Okay? I get 1/2 x. Let's talk through that a little bit. I'm going to erase this so that we can do that. So 1/2 x is what I'm left with. We don't write it like that. 1/2 x is what I'm left with, and this is -3. Okay, how do I get rid of this fraction here? I would have to multiply this by 2. If I do that on this side, I have to do it on this side, so times 2. Okay, remember this is a -3. 2 times -3. This will cancel, so now I have x is equal to 2 times -3 is -6. So when my y-intercept is 0, it's graph here. When my y-intercept is 0, which would be way over here, okay, it is 6 weeks ago. Okay. When I am looking at my x-intercept, on the other hand, when I am looking at my x-intercept on the other hand, here we go. My x is equal to 0, okay? And we can figure out, using my equation, whoops, not 0 there, y equals 1/2 0 plus 3. What's 1/2 times 0? 0. So y is equal to 3. So when x equals 0, number of months, my meerkat is going to be 3 inches long. Okay? Number of months is 0. It's going to be 3 inches long. So that's how big it when it's born. All right. So they are fully grown at 14 months. If they are fully grown at 14 months, what is this? Is this my x value or my y value? You can look at your labels. That will help. Okay? It's your y value. So 14 equals 1/2 x plus 3. I want you to solve this equation. Remember, to get rid of this, we multiply both sides by 2. Okay? Come with this done and tell me what, oops, I put that in the wrong spot. We're looking at his height, and this is number of months, and number of months is x. I'm so sorry. Okay? So, 14 goes there. Now do this one. This one's a whole lot easier. So figure out this, come with this done. Tell me how big this meerkat is when you come in. Okay.